Hello, beautiful beloveds. This is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you with an update from Twin Flame Land. Now, this has been quite a mission for me as a big part of my mission to bring through this information that's the theme of a certain frequency bandwidth within the relay team plan of a certain sector of the twin flame community, or the teams that are going through the stage at present. And so I've been trying to bring it into clarity so that I can explain it to you. So that's why there's been a bit of a gap between my last recording and this one, because there's just been so many layers and so many dimensions of this experience that I wanted to bring it through in a way that I could explain it. And while it was all still integrating and becoming clearer to me, more and more was coming to light, and more information was being presented, and I just wanted to sort of bring it all together in a clear package to you so that I can explain it. So I feel as if at this point I want to share this information. I'm still processing a lot of it as well, so it still needs a little bit more work on it, to explain everything as clearly as I can. However, I'm just going to bring it to you because this information I feel really needs to come out. So we have reached a point on the journey where the polarity part of our journey is a really huge part of our mission. So balancing the polarities across the board in all manner, shape or form is a huge part of our work. And so we will find ourselves at various places along the spectrum of the seesaw of the various polarities. And so when we recognize where we are on our polarity and we're finding ourselves out of balance, it's an important part to honour that our part of the journey personally is that we look at how our role on a personal level. That means within ourselves, so working on our inner balance within ourselves on the inside, of our emotions, of our mind, of our whole body. And then that goes out into our relationships and how we're relating with other people, so we can see the role that we're playing within a relationship and how we need to balance when things are getting out of balance there. And then that goes into our various perhaps working environments, within our communities, within society, and then it starts getting bigger and bigger, and then we're looking at some of the bigger concepts, such as one of the main obvious polarities that we talk about on the twin flame journey is the polarity of the masculine and feminine, and then we go bigger and out to the polarity of dark and light. So what I'm seeing is that those polarities playing out, and almost kind of like a battle taking place for the balance. And as we know, one of the biggest stories of humankind is the imbalance between the light and the dark. And as we know, and as we've seen, the imbalance has been that the dark has been reigning our world on the earth plane. The earth is out of balance. We've got pollution, and we've got poverty, limitation, lack. We've gone into that negative polarity where the dark has more power, where it's kind of upside down, where those that have the power are those that have malicious or evil or negative intent, and they are able to overpower those who become victims, who are the weaker, and that plays out via obviously also the masculine and feminine imbalance, where we've got a dominating patriarchy, and that plays out then therefore in our personal relationships, and overlays into marriages, where the traditional old paradigm of ownership over a woman, that she was an object and she was just used for sexual purposes or for basically to be a servant. And so all of these old paradigm excuse me, I'm just getting interrupted. I'm going to have to pause for a second and come back. So there is a lot to cover within this huge phenomena. I really feel within myself as a light worker, you know, that we are just so important at this time, that we recognise, first of all, that imbalances within ourselves, and we're working on, you know, I can even say within myself, my own darkness, my own inner darkness is my shadow. That was the trauma that I experienced as a child, and developed, you know, certain mechanisms that developed within my ego states of unhealthy behaviours in which to prevent myself from re-experiencing any further pain. So that pain is part of that darkness as well. And so doing a lot of that inner work, inner reconciliation, inner child work, healing those wounds from childhood, and just also within the imbalance within myself on a personal level of the masculine and the feminine, seeing how my inner masculine can be very, you know, domineering and overpowering, and more logically minded and critical of my feminine side, which is really wanting to be powerful in her own right, but has felt sort of victimized and put down and degraded, and feels submissive and disempowered. So yeah, it's such deep work, and we can see this happening on the personal level, we can see this happening within relationships, and we can see this in our political systems, and across the board. Again, with dark and light, we've got the polarity of the ethnicities and the races, where we've got the white supremacy and the put down of the darker races. And so, you know, we're just, it's huge. Like, quite frankly, quite honestly, at this point, I think we're about to go into a really, and I don't like to predict things too much or to scare people or to be fear-based, but this is going to be quite a crux point in our history, where it is really time for the light to rise up, the feminine to rise up, the light to shine the light on all of this darkness which has been hidden for so long, and becoming insidious and gone under the radar, and has managed to continue to have control over not only our inner states, but all of the other states in which we belong to as well. So, yeah, I'm really feeling this very strongly right now. I'm seeing it playing out like crazy at the moment with a lot of the people in my life and their relationships. I have just myself gone through another huge lesson in learning, which I had referred to in a few previous videos over the last few months, which I'm virtually coming to the end of, and I've been able to talk to a certain degree, but because I'm still very much processing a lot of what went on, and more is coming to the light, I'm learning, you know, the last stages of what it's meant to have encountered such a person. So I do want to talk about this because it is a really important part of I believe, part of the twin flame mission. I almost feel like it's one of the stages on that Pac-Man game, where we have to deal with bigger and bigger and stronger energy forces as we become stronger and stronger in our own power and in our light. So what I have come to experience is the polarity dynamic of within the relationship framework is on one extreme polarity, the narcissistic virtual psychopath or sociopath, and on the other extreme end of the polarity is the empath or the codependent. And obviously within that spectrum, coming from both sides, you've got varying degrees that eventually make their way into the middle, and then you almost get sort of an overlay in the middle of perhaps somebody who would have a percentage of both of those characteristics, and then they would play out within a relationship as well. So and again, we have both of those can have a certain percentage of those characteristics and traits within ourselves. So I have been doing a lot of research and a lot of learning on this particular aspect, because I'm seeing this playing out hugely within our communities and within my own friendship groups and their own relationships. So I believe we are currently along a certain frequency bandwidth that are clearing these tendencies and traits out of because they are completely obviously lead to unhealthy relationship dynamics, which essentially come down to the core wound being the fear of abandonment and rejection. So what will happen is both of that fear of abandonment and the rejection will either spiral someone out into either of those polarities. The deeper fear of rejection will either lead to the need to control the relationships through being the one in the power. So through those manipulative tactics, whether they be, really physical or sometimes just very insidious and under the surface so you can't see them. And then you've got the empath who submits to that control, or the codependent who submits to that control in order to be in the relationship so they won't be rejected, basically. So those two fit together quite well. They're pretty much magnets for each other. I've spoken about this syndrome that was spoken of and coined by a really great author, Rosenberg, who's got a lot of videos on YouTube and who explains this phenomena really, really well. So again, you've got those polarities and they're magnetizing towards each other. I believe these experiences, and I think a lot of twin flames are encountering them. I myself have just encountered one, and I realised how naive I was and how I needed to know about all of this information, and I have just uncovered a whole lot of information about these types of people. Being an empath myself, I'm completely a target for these types of people, and I believe that when we come on the twin flame journey, we almost open ourselves up to another level, another layer of manipulation by these types of people. And so it's been really, really, really intense. It's been one of my most intense learnings that I've ever had to go through. It's very, very deep. It's been and I think it had to be that way because I needed to bring this information through. So if you haven't already touched on this or encountered this aspect of the twin flame journey, I suggest you go and find out as much as you can. I'll leave some links in the section below with some more information about this dynamic that can play out within a relationship. I know that when you're at various stages on this journey, when I was first told about this, I simply actually did not believe that the person that I was dealing with could be this. I was like, no way, he's so nice and he's so loving, and there's no, and I took a lot of the blame of why the relationship wasn't working and why it was falling apart, totally on myself. And really, quite honestly, had been completely duped. These people are so clever, and I've had to take it out to a whole nother level because I'm very psychic, and I channel in all sorts of information, and I'm very open spiritually. This leaves me also open to this further type of manipulation, which takes place on a higher plane and becomes pretty much spiritual warfare. And it's been, really quite intense. But I know that I've needed to learn this for a bigger reason. It's part of our bigger mission, because we have come here to shine the light on these types of things, these types of behaviours. If we're to continue to go underground and hide and be ashamed that we and our almighty intelligence and our power would ever attract such a person, well, we're exactly the type of person that attracts that type of person, because, we are angels and we have come here to bring the light and bring the love, and we are perfect fuel for these kinds of people. They just want to destroy us because our light almost blinds them, but they've become cleverer and cleverer and cleverer at the way in which they manipulate and control, and it's very, very subtle. And so we need to really very much protect ourselves and learn very strong self-care. People that have encountered these types of relationships on the extreme end do not survive. They actually are out to destroy the person to the point where their soul is just they're soulless, and they just don't see any point to living anymore, and it can result in suicide and mental breakdowns, and then the aftermath of these types of relationships is because of the crazy chemical cocktail that occurs due to their manipulation of using love as the tool in which they hook you to start with is, you've got all these amazing chemicals running around in your body, and then it gets mixed in with anxiety and the cortisol, and you have this cocktail of hormones, and then there's the cognitive dissonance, and then there's all these things that go on, like trauma bonding, and it makes it extremely hard to pull away from these kind of people, because they have coded you with so many confusing things that's mixed up with love and manipulation and stress. And so when you're trying to pull away and cut ties with these people, they're like tentacles that are coming out and just luring you back in and pulling you back in, because they're just so clever. It's like trying to, basically it's been described as a type of trying to get yourself off drugs, basically become like a junkie, and you start craving this person and you can't get them out of your head. And there's all this information out there, which I'll put some links below. You really need to familiarize yourself with this type of person, because you are going to encounter them. Seriously, it's like Pac-Man. They're like, us empaths, our beautiful, strong, light worker, spiritual warriors, we need to prepare ourselves for battle against these kind of people. And it's not in the way that we are used to, because our way is, previously we've used love as our tool to get through life, and we've given so much love to the point where we have ourselves become destroyed, because these people, love is definitely not going to help them at all. I was mistaken thinking, oh, this poor person, he's had a difficult childhood, he's had trauma, and there's a reason why he is behaving the way he is, and he's had to have that as a survival technique. Well, this person's out to destroy me, and love that's just like, for him, just pathetic. It's not even going to touch the surface of the kind of darkness that this person has inside of them. The only thing which is so counterintuitive to an empath or a light worker that can really be effective against this type of person is actually not responding at all to them, and in terms of no emotion at all. So if you give them any emotion, whether it's positive or negative, that feeds them, and it's like their supply. It's like they are very much vampiric. They are, and I have heard them described in this way, as demonic and devilish, and to begin with, those kind of references to these types of people totally freaked me out. And I was like, I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person, and when I hear sort of things described in that sort of dark and evil God and the devil kind of things, I was like, oh my goodness, what, really? But actually, due to this experience, I've had to really look into this, and to be quite honest, it goes bigger, it's bigger. We are light workers, we are angels, so of course we're going to face the devil and the demons and these really dark forces that are coming out to try and stop us and to suck our energy. It's not just a walk in the park. This stuff is really real. Like I don't want to scare people, but you need to know how about this so that you can protect yourself, so that you know how to deal with it. And I've been getting all of this information through in various forms. At one point I got to the stage where I was like, before I was able to bring this through to you, to bring this recording through last week, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to talk about this. I don't know how to explain this. Like, I was in a state of quite shock and terrified, sort of, in a way, and went into my fear, and I went into shutdown. I was like, I don't want to be a light worker anymore, I don't want to do this, I'm out. And but then there's another part of me, and then I kept hearing this song in my head, that's right. And it was a reggae song, and it's sort of that one that goes, I'm gonna put on an iron shirt, and please excuse my singing, and I didn't know the rest of the words for that song, but I kept hearing the tune in my head, so they said, go look that song up. So I went and looked the song up, and it says, I'm going to put on an iron shirt and chase Satan off this earth. And I just got chills all over me, and I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm here to do, I'm here to chase that energy out of myself to start with, and that's the actual meaning of that song, like to not be fooled by your own darkness and your own illusions and your own doubts and your own fears and your own limitations. Like, clear that out of yourself, spiritually cleanse yourself from these destructive inner forces, and then you're going to come out strong, and you're going to be, powerful enough. And there's enough of us now. There's so many amazing people out there. Like, I've been so inspired by what I've been listening to lately with a lot of there's a massive community out there that are about exposing narcissistic behavior, both in relationships and in our world, as that basically our world is being run by narcissistic psychopaths, and we are at their mercy and have let them rule for so long. But now it's our time. This is our time. So this is happening, as you can see and hear. I hope I'm bringing it through clear enough to you that this is happening multidimensionally on all levels. It's huge, it's big, it's the time, it's here now. We are shining the light on this stuff. We are powerful, and I can feel our power and strength in numbers and might as we rise up now to exactly do that, to put on our iron shirts and chase Satan off this earth. And I'm not a biblical person. I'm sounding like I'm one of these people from America that stand up in those churches, evangelists or whatever. But it's not like that. Like, I just hope you can feel the truth in yourself to know what you're here to do, and you'll be getting probably these same messages. So I'd love to hear from you if you are. I know this is a really big message. It's huge. It's kind of heavy. It's not meant to be harsh. It's meant to be uplifting and inspiring, and to encourage us to really step up and step in, because we've been given these calls many times on our journey. We've had to step up and step in, and we've got to keep on doing it. We've got to keep on doing it, keep on stepping up and stepping in. We cannot afford to be losing people at this time to these kind of destructive forces. So, I hope you'll hear that. And, for me, that destructive force, the fact that it did not destroy me, and when these forces do not destroy you, yes, we may become weak, we may fall down and hurt ourselves, but we get back up, and when we get back up, we learn from it, and we shine the light on it, and it makes us stronger. So I actually bless these experiences with coming face to face with these types of energies, because they are our catalysts to our transformation, to our alchemical transformation of when we face it, when we no longer run away and from the pain or the fear. We face it, and we look at it, and we stare it in the face, and we go, yeah, I can deal with you. I'm strong, I'm powerful, and I'm here to change the world and make it a better place for everyone to live in. So we no longer have to live in fear. So, Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So thank you very much for listening. Please leave your comments below, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.